All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the Showdown Show. This week, got Thursday Night Football, Seattle at Dallas. Going to break it all down for you as usual, talking through everything, the captains, the roster construction, the breakdowns, position by position. We'll get to a FanDuel segment. And then, of course, the Sim segment at the end. Do want to remind everyone very quickly on the way in, this show is brought to you and presented by RunTheSims.com. If you want to go over to RunTheSims.com, you can use promo code SHIPIT to get 10% off. We're going to talk about that at the end, let you guys throw your scores up. And Hoop, I'm going to bring you in first. But the other night, first of all, our guy had 13-10. That was real close. You called 3-0 at the half. It was 3-3. But the minute we saw the chat say over, and it was all the way on the other side, we just knew, right? We had the parlay that hit that we gave out to the people because we just knew you go under, you go Chicago +3. Sure enough, that got the job done. How you doing on this Thursday afternoon, my friend? What's going on?
Yeah, doing well. That last game on Monday that was the only part you could sit back and laugh about because the game was an absolute disaster. Another snooze fest on Monday night, which was not entertaining. But again, I was just sitting back in my recliner watching the show, and I was just thinking, watching the game, thinking back to the show. I was like, all right, the 13-9 joke was funny. 13-10 joke was funny. I was like, damn, this is very realistic. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, I'm pretty sure I said 3-0 at halftime. Sure enough, 3-0 at halftime or close to halftime. I'll make the kick to make it 3-3. So that was my entertainment for the night, not actually watching the game, which was just absolutely terrible. Hopefully tonight, we keep saying it. Hopefully we get a good, solid game. Cowboys have been very successful offensively, so we have a chance. That game on Monday was not a fun one.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Lots of good folks in here that we know. Shout out to new ones. Our boy, this man's up at 6 a.m. in the Discord, getting ready to go to the gym, tagging us, showing off his breakfast or something. I don't know what it was.
3:30. That's 3:30 a.m. Wisco time. That's 6:30 your time, Tambo.
Yeah, too much. I said, buddy, someone said that. I was like, it's okay talking gym talk in the NBA channel at that time because nobody's up in the nation. I said tagging the entire staff, though, and letting them know. I was like, man, that's too early for me. But I said, it's all good. It's all joking. We all have our ringers turn off, or at least I hope. But definitely a good way to wake up to your day. Somebody else in here, I forget who I just saw said it, but Dirty Mike already signed up. We appreciate you joining. If you want to get signed up, you can go to shipitnation.com, use promo code Mayo. It's in your welcome email. If you still have issues, you can email us info@shipitnation.com, but very easy. First big paragraph in that email, it tells you how to get into the Discord, and you can hop in right away. Title, my man, bring you in here. Seattle at Dallas. First thoughts on the game, and then how you doing on this Thursday afternoon, my friend?
Yeah, doing well. Excited to talk football like always. As far as this game and Showdown, I'm hoping that you can change my mind. Always real with the people. It's not my favorite. Like the general roster construction right now looks like jamming these studs and just hope you get the right cheapie to work. And I don't like that build at all. So I already know I like these more mid-tier captain builds, I guess, because I don't like all these punts down here. Like DJ Dallas, if you want to sign up for 5 snaps, yeah, hope something works there. Otherwise, these guys are going to be on the field. You hope they get 4 points and just the studs do enough. So, yeah, I already know I don't like that build. So I'll be, I guess, naturally playing some of these kickers and Ds. And this is the one game it's not going to work. And I'm just probably going to have shit on my face, I guess, as people like to say. So I don't know. I don't like these punts one bit. I think that's where a lot of people go.
Hey. Yeah, you hinted at it with the Kenneth Walker news. Obviously, we'll hit off the top. Most people know by now, doubtful. So that's where the obvious comes in with Charbonnet. And then you also have DJ Dallas, who you mentioned down there. Maybe my guy McIntosh tries to make something happen. He's $200. They did like him a couple weeks ago. People probably forgot about him by now. We'll see if he's even active. But Hoop, you got the jersey on, my friend. It looks like you're ready to chat about your favorite quarterback in the entire NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's been profitable for us. So, now we have to support. I got to take it easy on the slander. With my guy Dak, he's treated us well. He's continued to treat us well. Thanksgiving Day slate, the right move, and the showdown slate. It's gonna be a Dak slate again, boys.
You're looking fresh, Hoop. You got the blue, the white, the background, blue, black, the SHIPIT Nation, the white, the hat. Who's on fire today? He's got Shipper coming.
It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big day.
Might be a bad day for our boy Slappy. He's got the 3 strikes hat on up top there. So 3 strikes and you're out, man. Poor Slap. But before we get into it, want to show everybody real quick. We updated the front page of the site. We told you it was coming last week. You'll want to get involved in it this week. If you are watching this on playback, if you're watching it live right now, whatever it takes, just take 2 seconds. You can pause it, whatever it might be. First, like the video, but then go over to shipitnation.com. You'll see right down in here, we have segmented out our showdown mini course from the main DFS Process 101, the 4-hour course where Hoop and I created the video breaking down everything from start to finish, all things NFL DFS. About 45 minutes of that 4 hours was just breaking down NFL Showdown. All you have to do is go put your email in and sign up. It's free to do, no credit card required, no nothing. You throw your email in, the link to the course will be sent out to you right after you confirm that you've signed up for the email. You'll get the course. It's short and sweet. It's just a link to a private video that you can go and check out. So if you haven't done so yet, go do this. If you want to see more about it and break it down, you can go to just shipitnation.com, go to education, NFL, scroll down. I'm under the members access, but you can see what it contains here under Showdown. But we talk correlation, stacking, game script, concepts, roster construction, kickers and Ds, punt plays, FanDuel differences, all of that and more. And then Hoopster he went to the Dak jersey. That's okay. But the hoodies are running out now, right, Hoop? I know you did a huge shipment just the other day, so people were asking us about them. We let the community vote on the logos. They wanted the clean, fresh logo with the words or the actual Sin logo with the rocket ship. We brought them both out. We ordered them both, sold through majority of them already, I believe, Hoop. But these are Nike hoodies. They're good quality stuff.
Yeah, I did a big shipment on Tuesday. We already have some more orders in there ready to go. So if you get it ordered, by this weekend, I'd say early next week, we'll ship out and you'll have it by, middle to late next week. Everyone should be getting their orders. I'm assuming today, a lot of it was a 2-day shipping. So these things are nice, man. They're not the cheap, nasty hoodies. These are nice, comfortable ones, and we still have some more, but they're moving very, very rapidly.
Yeah, and some comments in the chat too I'm not against these comments. I think they're pretty true in some cases, but there's a lot of strategy and game theory and correlation and ideas to it. And that's why the course being free is well worth it just to go and check out, because there's more to it than just that. Like our guy Shark says, I won't read the last part, but it's true. If you get the captain wrong, feels like your night's a little messed up, it is a better sport for MME, I think too, right? Where you can get in the mix and have a few different captains that you can get after. You guys see my slate plan every week on the site. You can go down here, Showdown slate plan. It gets all broken down for you. I have multiple captains, but there's 4 to 5 that I'm heavy on. Maybe sprinkle 2 to 3 more depending on the slate and what the dynamics of it are. And then Hoop does the same thing in his player pool. We're all talking about it in the Discord. So a lot of good stuff going on right now. If you want to join, easy to get in, and then we'll get on with it. You can go to the site, shipitnation.com, use the promo code MAYO, and get in. Hoop, I got the titles, first thoughts. You were out getting the jersey. Give us your first thoughts, grand scheme overview for this slate.
I mean, the Dallas side looks tasty to me, but a lot of people are gonna think that. A lot of people are gonna be Dallas heavy. And how can you go Dallas heavy and get different, I think is the big question. I think there's definitely a couple ways you can do it. I think Dallas wins this game pretty easily, not a hot take. And the thing that does scare me is Dallas's defense is very good. So if they have their way in this game, I think it's gonna be very difficult for Seattle. Looking back at some of these Seattle scores and games they lose, which, could be indicative of a lot of teams, a lot of games, but man, they've really struggled offensively in games that they have lost. So I think if you think Dallas wins this game, you have to be aggressive with it, because I think it could be a potential onslaught scenario. So we'll talk through it all, but man, I really find it hard to believe that a lot of these Seattle guys have success offensively.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the onslaughts when we get there. I do want to shout out quick before I go to title here. Our guy Chris, he says the education stuff is awesome, so much good info. But besides that point, which I believe is true, also biased a little, but I love it. Chris is the man. He sent us, this is talking about a great community, sent Hoop and I and I was hit me the message, and I said send it to Hoop. I don't want to be responsible for this. A autographed Dan Marino Miami Dolphins jersey that we're going to have a huge giveaway for coming up soon. Chris has a ton of memorabilia and cards and jerseys and stuff like that. And he just wanted to give back to the brand, to the community, to Ship It Nation in general. So we're going to have some fun with that. But it is an authentic autographed Dan Marino jersey from the Dolphins. So excited for that giveaway. And shout out to Chris.
It looks amazing framed down in my basement by the bar. I mean, it's a really nice setup, really nice addition. I appreciate that because I heard Hoop 2410 was the winner of the giveaway.
Yeah, that's why I got you to. Yeah, I sent it to the winner's house. Thanks so much, Chris. I supported Hoop. Meanwhile, he's winning a jersey of Dak, who's won him like almost $250,000 in the last month and a half. So he really needs that, though. But no, all seriousness, thank you so much. We love stuff like that. We've had tons of people in the Discord giving tickets away. And I should note, anybody who's in the chat, now's the time to throw in why you should be a new member at shipitnation.com. Why you for the draw? Because our man DFS Juice came through. He gave one away on the NBA show the other night, and he's giving one away today for this show. So shout out to our guy, DFS Juice. I should be able to find him here. I just did. This was just a month ago, actually, literally about almost exactly a month ago. Poor Hoop can't do nothing better than a 7th place finish, bottom feeder down here. Meanwhile, our guy DFS Juice puts the same lineup. So nice. He played it twice, turned $18 into $80K. He did a $200 giveaway in the Discord the other day. He gave away one on the NBA show, and now he's giving one away today. So the juice is loose. Like my guy Jesse says, he's giving away a monthly membership. Let us know in the chat why it should be given to you. Title, I'll go back to you. Let's start talking about these captains, man. Give me your first thoughts. You said maybe more mid-tier captains and breaking it down that way. What's your first thoughts here? Who are the guys that stand out?
Yeah, first, of course, shout out Chris, shout out DFS Juice. The community we got is absolutely incredible over here. Getting sick, man. It's tough, but it's absolutely incredible over here. Shout out y'all. As far as captains, yeah, so my initial thoughts, like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of jam in the quarterbacks, jam in CD Lamb, Charbonnet's really mispriced. Like, it feels everyone's going the same route, and then figure out one of these cheapies they can throw in, hopefully get you a couple points. And I think that's general roster construction. I don't want to be messing with the Disleys, the Parkinsons, the DJ Dallas, like some of them down there. Of course, if we're playing a lot of lineups, fine. But I'd rather get at least 6 guys that I feel comfortable with, or defenses in there, kickers in there, which means I can't necessarily pay up for the CD Lambs, for the quarterbacks at captain as much. So I find myself going to the Tyler Lockett's, the DK Metcalf, who's DK is very overpriced. You look at 9,600, Lockett's 7,200. That's going to keep DK's ownership. He's going to be the lowest owned in the top range. CD, Dak, Pollard, DK, Geno. By far, DK is going to be the lowest owned. 9-point dog. Should be throwing the ball a lot. I think DK is a very interesting contrarian spend. I like Lockett as well. 7,200. Doesn't absolutely break the bank. Still has all the upside there. Charbonnet, I prefer him, I think, at captain than I do flex. I'm gonna play him in both spots for sure. 6,800 is a misprice. He's getting all the work without Kenneth Walker. But I still think he's going to be maybe around 10% or something in the captain spots, because a lot of people want to go Dallas captain. A running back in a 9-point dog is not something you usually want at captain, but he can catch passes. He'll be out there regardless. Touchdown prop solid. The price makes a lot work at captain too. So I like Charbonnet, DK, Lockett. Again, everyone wants to go these Cowboys. A way I'll be getting different is playing some Seahawks heavy builds or 4-2s, or play them in the captain more. Because, again, I don't want all these punts. CD, of course, he is my favorite. If I had to pick a Dallas guy, he is expensive. Try and get different with the builds. I think he's the highest owned captain, but CD is my favorite. Seattle can get their secondary is fine, but they have let up some big games, wide receiver ones. Couple other ones, Jake Ferguson at 6,200, going to probably be like 5% or something. Again, doesn't break the bank at captain, right in that Charbonnet range. He can fall in the box twice. Dak likes him there. So I think those are my favorites. Like going down, Gallup isn't playing enough. Rico Dowdle isn't playing enough. I don't think it's the craziest slate for like JSN or kickers. I hate to say defenses too, but on a slate like this, if I'm avoiding the stars and scrubs for the most part, I think that 4 or 5K range is in play today. And I rarely do that at kickers and D captain, but curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I like the first part where you're at. The second part I haven't spent too much time on personally, but I could see it. I do agree a lot on like kind of just paying down and getting sort of that mid-range. I know that Lamb is going to be popular for good reason up top. I will say this, though, and then I'll let Hoop give his thoughts and take over, was that this game reminds me a little bit of the Denver at Buffalo game we had. I think it was back. I'm looking at the schedule here. It says November 13th. I can't remember what day of the week that was, but I believe it was an island game. I think it was Sutton. Captains ended up top. There was no way these Broncos could show up. There was just no way. They're going to get pounded. They can't. And then they go on to win the game. That's what this feels like. And the spread feels like it too. Like it's just right there at 9. Like it's the right number that has everyone involved in it. I was looking in our Discord today talking about the NFL betting channel, and our guy Andy Lack goes in there and throws his bets in. He's been having a good season, and he does a lot of look ahead stuff and all that. And there is the big game for Dallas next week against Philly. So you could see a look ahead spot here. I actually think there is some interesting stuff. The chat brought it up here. Our guy Hockey Experience. I like stuff like this. Going to catch Dallas off guard. If it doesn't, like, I honestly don't care too much, me personally, because this is the obvious. This is what happens. This is what everyone expects. I saw stats out today about optimal lineups with Dallas in them and all this stuff. Like, I get it. That's what has happened. That's what could and might happen. But for me, I want to play against it. So I'm looking for other angles on the other side and reasons that actually make sense to me, like Geno, Metcalf, Lockett, JSN, Charbonnet, like you said, might be better. He could be fine stepping into there. So I don't know. I think all of these guys could be in the mix, and I got no problem with the Seattle side of it. Hoop, I'll get your thoughts as we keep rolling through here. Your captain thoughts.
Yeah, it could be a night where I just cut out the Seattle side where, Lockett probably gets like 10%. DK is overpriced, so he's going to probably be a little lower than 10%. Geno is going to get a little bit. Charbonnet is the one for sure that's going to get some ownership in captain, which I'm fine cutting out. I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do. I've used this strategy in the past with like the 49ers where I just think they roll. Defense is good. They just get the job done. I could go that path tonight. The one thing that definitely stands out at captain, and I know, I guess I'm a little biased now on the opposite side with Dak Prescott, but these quarterbacks continue to come in lower owned than they should be. And I'm seeing it again. I looked at a couple spots. Dak's ownership to me is in captain is much too low for what we've seen out of him. The guy has put up at least 30 fantasy points in 4 out of 5 games. Has the 40 fantasy point game. The offense is rolling. Tony Pollard has been inefficient. So one thing that stands out to me is maybe, not as much Tony Pollard up top, which he's going to get some because he has not been good this season, obviously, as we've seen, and go more to a guy like Dak Prescott. I don't know. It could be a consolidated captain pool for me where I just cut out Seattle completely because I don't know if I'm seeing it here, to be honest with you guys. And I know you guys
why isn't Dallas like 13.5 point favorites here? Like
Thursday
the whole
night
world,
game,
they're going to
probably.
roll. Like they crush. What's the issue?
I think Thursday night game, a little hesitancy. It has moved in their direction, though. It's up to 9.5 in some spots. So it is moving towards Dallas a little bit more. The problem I have with this game, if you're playing Seattle side, you have to think they have a realistic chance of winning this game because in the losses, they have not put up shit. Like they have not done anything. Their players haven't done anything. They've been a inept offense in their losses. So I think in order to go Seattle heavy tonight, you have to think that they can win this game and you need to build your teams accordingly. I don't think they can win this game.
Yeah, I don't disagree on that actually, but I just said I don't fully agree. I obviously could go the other way, but I don't think I don't think Dallas winning the game means as much for DFS as like that naturally means 5-1, like the rest of the chat saying. I think that can work out Dallas 4-2s. There could be 3-3s that you build that still make sense based on PPR points and all that stuff that you can find and rack up. I just wondered why, and like the chat was talking about, there's no real good reason. Like this is the closest. It's a 9-point line because Seattle's that fringe playoff team, but in all reality, they suck. Maybe. That's the closest I could see to it. If it's 9.5 now, then so be it. I noticed the total went up a little bit. I saw as well, but just in general, it feels like if that's the case, this should be a spot where if Dallas is truly going to just roll, then maybe that. But that line doesn't seem to scare too many people off, and it doesn't really make me love biting on the Seattle side. It just makes me at least interested in DFS to be able to play some opposite angles, some 4-2 Dallas, 3-3s, and even some 4-2 Seattles, I think are just fine. But any other thoughts, Hoop? And if not, I'll let Title chime in before we go to the other positions.
No, like a guy like Brandon Cooks, he's 8K. And like, in order for him to be the optimal captain, he's got to outscore some real players. He's, I know I just kind of shit on the Seattle side, but in order for Cooks to be the optimal captain, he's got to outscore Lockett, Charbonnet. He's right there with Geno Smith. He's pretty close to, that 10K range. So he's the one on the Dallas side that I don't necessarily love. He's going to have to find a way to put up like 25, I think, to be the optimal captain. And, maybe not, maybe 20 or something. But, man, that 8K price, like him in the flex, I don't think I'll be playing a ton of him in the captain. That was one thing that kind of stood out to me.
Okay, you play the Dallas D. It's close enough to it, and I think people will tonight. But this is my point more too. Michael just saying, I don't know what the score. I'm just giving an example. Dallas wins. Dallas covers. This is unlikely to be a 5-1. That's all I'm saying. That's really my point of breaking that down. If you think they can put up 17 points, I see different builds that do it. And this is what I brought up, man. Like this is the stuff that everybody talks about. This is why that becomes overowned and more popular than it should be. And again, if you say don't overthink it, don't play it. I don't play to ship with those stats. Like I'm looking to be as close to what could happen without going insane. I'm not going to go run 100% Seattle 5-1s, but I just don't want to look for that. And if I do build Dallas 5-1s, I'll likely leave 2,500 on the table in all of them because that's where you could see a 5-1 win that's different.
I like Dallas to roll here, but I don't think I'm necessarily actively trying to get 5-1s in there. I mean, Seattle has enough competent pieces where, they have three competent wide receivers that could easily get into that 12, 13, 14 fantasy point range without doing shit, with them getting their ass kicked and still able to put up that amount of fantasy points, which is enough fantasy points to prohibit 5-1s from getting there, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. They have a competent kicker. They have a running back that's going to get all the work. So I don't necessarily love the 5-1s. I'll probably have some, but I'm not actively trying to get them because I think Seattle does have enough competent pieces to prevent the 5-1s from getting there. Could happen, but don't love it.
And this was definitely one I got wrong. But again, Sean, I put my stuff in writing, man. You can go find it. I don't mind being wrong on takes. I'm saying the point is about that. That's like the whole point of tonight. Chicago 5-1 was like a Seattle 5-1. I actually usually do lean further to that. I was heavier on Chicago 4-2s, Chicago-led captains, whereas tonight I'm actually screaming for the same thing. I like it with Seattle. I'm just saying I didn't go as far as I should have, but it was the opposite of what the field was doing that night. 5-1 Chicago's against Minnesota in Minnesota was not the popular build. So that's my whole point. I'm not leaning as far as saying Seattle 5-1s as much as I'm saying if Seattle's putting up 17, I think there is guys that are in the mix and involved there. So that's why I'm trying to get different that way. We'll see how it shakes out. Title, do you have any other thoughts on this stuff before we go to breaking down the running backs a little bit further in depth?
Yeah, I mean, it was a comment earlier, and I don't want to pick it apart too much. And I guess showdowns are like playing the lottery. You just need the right combination. I won't even try and argue against it because with some of these teams that have won, you might not what the defense have done, sure. But if you're playing the lottery, wouldn't you want, or the lottery of this, wouldn't you want to, when you win all the money instead of if you win the lottery, you win 8,000. Why not win 120,000 like our guy D-Dry and another member a week or 2 weeks ago? That's how I play these showdowns. If everyone wants to go Dallas, if everyone wants to play them, I'll play Seattle. I mean, I can totally see Seattle staying in this game. Just say Seattle's down 10 going to the last drive. Seattle has the ball and they go get a garbage touchdown. They lose by 3. Seattle could easily be a 4-2 build right there. Another reason I like Seattle, I think they're more concentrated. Charbonnet gets all the work. Pollard does too. But it's just JSN, Lockett, Metcalf. Tight ends are, Russian roulette with Disley, Parkinson, and Fans. But on the Cowboys side, Gallup's mixing in, Tolbert's mixing in, Turpin's mixing in, Cooks is mixing in. Really, outside of CD, there's all those guys that you do have to get right. And again, on this build, how I'm seeing it, a lot of people want to jam in the CDs, the Daks of the world, and then punt with these random sub 2K players that really are not good. They'll be mixing and matching on the field. If one of them fall in the box, they're probably optimal. But all these guys could score 3 points or less, and it's just the main guys that get all the work. And if that's the build, I can easily get away from that. So, yeah, moral of the story, when you win, how much you win, not how often. So that's how I put it.
I love that one. That's my favorite one right there. You said it. That's the line. And I forgot what's going on here. Usually Hoop has the Dak jersey on, and it's a Sunday show with it's a game by game, and it's Dallas game, and we go quick. I forgot that Dallas is America's favorite team, so the chat is extra feisty today because all the Cowboys fans are out and got to protect their side. Oh, what are you talking about? This team sucks. We're this, we're that. It's like, man, it's wild, but you never see the chat come out this heavy on one side. It's exciting.
Well, it didn't. Hey, the chat got it way wrong on Monday. So if that's any indication, I might have to take this jersey off.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
And this too, I can always get behind a Cowboys fade with that guy at the helm. So good call, hockey experience.
Yeah, I like that one too. This is so good. Love doing this with you guys. We appreciate all the support, everybody watching. If you could do us a favor, take 2 seconds, just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also should note the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station, just youtube.com/@SHIPITNation. We're just about, I think, 200 or 225 subscribers over there. It's free to do, but we're 200 or 225 away from 5K. The drive for 5, we said when we get to 5,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, we would do an annual giveaway. So a 1-year membership, $599 value to shipitnation.com, get you in for everything that we offer, and you get in for free if you win that one. So Hoop, go back to you, man. Let's talk through these running backs a little bit. Pollard has been mentioned in the chat a bunch. We talked about Charbonnet. We talked about some of these other things. Obviously, Walker being doubtful. Where are you at with these running backs? Heavier on one than the other? Anything else you could talk about with that position?
One other thing I wanted to note about like the 5-1s and the 4-2, I just think it's such like an overblown topic. Like I get it. I get why people want to talk about it, but it's like, I don't know. I just think people put too much emphasis on, okay, well, I can't do 5-1. I can't do 4-2. Like it's more about like the game script. Like, does it make sense? Like it's a 1-game sample. We're playing 1 game, limited options here. Crazy shit. I know it tilts people, but crazy stuff happens in these showdown slates, like with the defenses and all that. Can't be shocked at anything that happens. It's literally 1 game. You don't have 10 options like on a main slate. So I don't know. I just don't think like,
it's like a maximum spot to get leverage, though. Like, if they 5-1s are going to be 20% of the builds in the field, how do I get leverage on 5-1 builds? I don't build any, for example, or I go 10%. Like same as I tried to explain in our Discord the other day, when people think there's the point you made that is so good, and I think people should apply also to their player pools on any slate. Everyone acts like it's a fade or all-in button. It's like you're not allowed, like you can't just play some of this guy or get overweight on a guy. You say it all the time in golf, like, oh, this guy's going to be 30%, can't play him. You're like, what if I just play him? What if I play 60%? Like you're allowed to play different percentages, and that's to your point there. I can have some Dallas 5-1s. I just prefer that my 5-1s tonight are leaving 2,500 on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise I'm going to be chopping it a bunch of ways with a ton of people.
Yeah, and that is one thing that people do think. They think if they automatically get on a certain build, they're going to be different. And that's not necessarily the case. A lot of the 5-1s are very similar type teams, like you talked about. A lot of cheap captain teams end up very similar rosters. So yeah, also that's a good point. Be careful what you do within those builds. Makes a lot of sense.
And just to add on to what you just said there, that's the other point. You just said a huge point. Just because you go to 4-2 and you're not on 5-1s anymore, if you build the same chalky 4-2 that everyone thinks they're switching to, that's where it's like you just said, you still have to get different within the build construction that you're doing, regardless. If you're trying to dupe less or do anything like that, like you're going up against people that are using Sims and basically having a duplication item that sets out and says, these lineups are not likely to be as duped. So that's why they're finding less duplicated. But also when you're hand building, our guy Double D, he should show up here soon. I'm sure there's got to either be something that clicks in your mind, or you're probably doing it wrong of saying, I just have to leave 2,500 on the table. Most people hand building naturally fill out the roster and look for the upgrade. Yeah. All of the back end tools make it so that you can leave somewhere from 40. Like for me, I can cap at 47.5 on Dallas 5-1s. Run them and pick the ones that I like that make sense, that I also think will be less duplicated. I don't think enough people are talking about that or doing that either. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. Just talk the running back position. Tony Pollard he has not been good this year. There's no doubt about it. And I think it is somewhat scary at 9,800. He's going to be very, very highly owned. I like the Cowboys, but man, what I've seen from the Cowboys this season is like they're totally cool, not like fully abandoning the run, but like, man, if Pollard gets 1 yard on first down, they're passing the next 2. Like they're totally fine doing that. Like Pollard is not the guy that we thought he was going to be this season so far. It could definitely change. It could change tonight, but I want to be on the pass catcher side way more than the Tony Pollard side of things. I want to be on the Dak side. I want to be on the CD Lamb side. I do want to be on the random wide receiver Cowboy side tonight that all should come in relatively low owned over Pollard. I will have Pollard. Don't get me wrong. I'll have Pollard in the captain. I'll have Pollard in the flex quite a bit. But I am not going out of my way to force Pollard into my lineups tonight. Charbonnet should be very highly owned with Kenneth Walker out. Gets all the work. Again, similar to Pollard, where I'm not going to force. I probably won't need to force him, and he's going to show up on a lot of teams. But I think there's a lot of paths to him having a down game tonight. Rico Dwaddle or Dodal, however you pronounce his name, won't have much of him. DJ Dallas, I'm not going to have much of him. So I really don't like the running backs all that much today. I'm going to have Pollard. I'm going to have Charbonnet, but it probably ends up being less than the field.
Yeah, and that's your stand. Yeah, I like that call. You've talked about this plenty all season too, where like you said, when they're up, they'll continue to throw it, and it just doesn't matter. They just keep doing what's working and sticking with it. Same when they get down to the red zone, end zone, etc. I think when we get to tight end later, a lot of people want us to talk about Mr. Ferguson, so we'll talk about that when we get there. But Tight, I'll let you talk about it. The matchup is actually the best on the ground for Dallas, but it's whether or not they actually stick to that. Typically back in the day, you'd see a 9.5 point spread for a team at home with a main feature back, which we have seen Tony Pollard step it up these last 2.5, 3 weeks, if you will. Where's your thoughts at on him, Dowdle, and then talk to us again about the Charbonnet side. I know you already talked about better at captain than flex, but talk us through these running backs for your angles.
Yeah, I mean, Hoop and I are definitely different today, so I hope one of us win the money. But I like the running. I like Pollard. I like Charbonnet. And a lot of it has to do, again, where just make a lineup, plug in CeeDee Lamb, then take CeeDee Lamb out and plug in Pollard. $1,600 difference. That could be the difference if you have a 1v1 Stone Nuts or the 1v1. If it's Lamb on the optimal, maybe it pays out $18,000. No one would ever complain about $18,000. Let's say $8,000 because that could be it too. You go to Pollard, that might pay you out $80,000. Is there a 10 times difference that Lamb's going to outscore Pollard? Not really. So looking at that, Dak, $1,200. So a lot of my builds and stuff like that, I can easily see Pollard outscore both of them. 9-point favorites, can catch the ball, most likely to score a touchdown on the game. It's minus 145. Sign me up for Pollard. Dowdle does 5-10 touches, and he's not even cheap. What is he in the 4Ks? Like, I can't get to Dowdle really. 150 stuff. Of course, that's when Mike's going to put him in. He'll fall in the box. A contrarian, if you want to play him as in a chalky lineup, contrarian flex play, overspend, sure, that's how I'll do it. I don't love it though. Same thing with DJ Dallas. Like, people are going to go and play some of him just in those stars and scrubs build. I'll rather go the mid-tier build and stuff like that. So don't love DJ Dallas. Charbonnet will be very popular. He's just mispriced. Again, I think you can play him at captain because 9-point dogs, even at that price, he might be 10% at captain. I think that's fine. Plus 120 touchdown prop, the best on the Seahawks side by a good bit. Can catch passes on the field a ton. So even if they are down 2 touchdowns, can catch some dump off. So yeah, I like both the running backs. They're getting all the work. So yeah, sign me up.
Here's the one, so the chat can get off my back about these 5 ones. Tony Pollard at captain, Dowdle in the flex, Dallas D in the flex, and Aubrey the kicker in the flex. You got to put another Dallas guy, and you got to put a Seattle guy, and you can't spend over 47.5. There's the core 4, the way to do it that I'm saying that you would be way different, but still playing the 5-1. I'm just saying I don't want your 5-1s that fill out the roster or leave like $100 or $200 because then they end up the same. I don't care how often it's hit. The sample size can be 4 games, 3 games, 5. I don't care. Like, that's what I'm saying. So we'll move on. I don't have much else to add at the running back. I think you broke it down pretty good. I actually really liked the Charbonnet take that you had off the top, so we'll stick with that one. I'm in on the Pollard side of things. I definitely still like Pollard. Again, I'm looking at the matchups. It's late enough in the season. It makes sense. They're at home. They should at least try it if it can work. And if he ends up being in the flex, then so be it as well. I'm fine with that there. I liked your captain analogy too, of saying like the setup of if it only works out to about that, but if you go this way, you could win a lot more. It's not that much more likely or less likely, if you will, for it to happen. So I'm actually okay with that as well. Let's move on. You've been talking about this passing, or chime in and then talk to wide receivers after.
I just had a thought, and I think, Tambo, this is something you might like because you like these sort of things, all right? I just pulled up DraftKings, all right? Hear me out on this one, all right? And let me know if I'm crazy. Now it says we have DJ Dallas, $1,200. It says D Dallas. Do you think his ownership comes up a little bit because they click that name and think they're playing Dallas defense, D.Dallas? Does that make sense, or is that just too far out there?
It's too far out there. And plus, if they see his picture, have you ever seen his picture on the app?
Yeah, well, that's what got me to look, because someone says look at the picture. So I pulled it. Oh my gosh, it looks like you just saw a ghost.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. So that will change your mind fast. But I do think DJ Dallas is going to get played tonight. I didn't mention him there. I know you guys hit him on him a little bit earlier, like Title said, but that is kind of the interesting factor when you look at Dowdle, who is, I believe, 4,200 in the flex. Just going back to it, he's priced around the kickers. He's above Gallup. Like, he's up there. You go down and see, and I think Dallas, what was he on this slate? He is 1,200. So I definitely think people will be more interested in Dallas. I think you can do some stuff with that. Again, go back to the 5-1s if you want to, like we just talked about. DJ Dallas plus money on the table. Your only Seattle guy, maybe. The kicker for Seattle, the only guy on the opposite side. Seattle D, the only player, quote unquote players, the team, defense, special teams on the other side. Maybe possible. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you do that, you could try it out. But that's another way I do it. I would still want to leave some money on there, but maybe with those ones, you could get away with leaving a little less, just thinking out loud. But either way, Hoop, you talk to us about this passing game and now run it through for us, these wide receivers.
Yeah, so I'm going to be lighter on the running backs, heavier on the pass catchers on the Dallas side. I'm going to play, I mean, to nobody's surprise, a lot of Dak in the captain. I hope these low ownership numbers in the captain hold true, because I'm going to have a lot of outs if it is Dak in the captain. CD, Cooks, Tolbert, Gallup, Turpin, I'm playing all those guys. Some of them low owned, Gallup 10 percentage, right around 10%. Turpin will be low owned. I'm getting exposure to all those guys. I will obviously have a lot of Dak captain teams, so I need all his pass catchers mixed in there. Fine with 2 pass catchers. I definitely want at least one of those guys because his big games have been big games, and at least one running wide receiver has come along, a lot of times 2. So want a lot of the Dallas side. The Seattle side, I'm fine with. I won't be way over on any of them. I'll have some DK. I'm sure I'll have some Lockett. JSN, I'm cool with him, but I'm going to have a lot of the Dallas side. I'm going to play all these wide receivers, though. I do like them all to some degree. Lockett's price is nice, 7,200. Probably won't play him in the captain, but I do like him in the flex. DK at 9.6. I think his ownership is lower than comes in lower than a lot of spots, or what a lot of spots are projecting, because that 9.6 price tag, there's a lot of appealing guys up there. I think people just look elsewhere. So I'm fine with him. And then JSN, I think, just fairly priced right around the kickers. If he finds end zone, he outscores them, or if he gets a bunch of catches. So I like all the pass catchers today.
Yeah, I like that breakdown. Title, do you got anything different there? Anybody else you want to add on? I know the chat was earlier telling us about how JSN is a Dallas native and back in high school scored 5 touchdowns or something here. Like, we love the narratives, but sometimes they get stretched a little bit. But I think JSN, regardless of that narrative, could still be a situation that we move on here. Any thoughts there? And nice golf core, Hoop. They got you covered on day one of a
day one, baby. Let's go.
Event.
We got the 1-2 in there. Harmon and Fee now 1-2. It's going to be a good week.
Love it. All right, 20-man event, 6 guys got to be played. And we're on day one of it, but hey,
it's just the beginning. Hey, it's just the beginning of a successful golf season here at SHIPIT Nation. I mean, I know this stuff gets much better. You know the calendar way better than I do, but once January hits, we'll be full throttle. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, it's going to be a good golf season ahead. We do have a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. We previewed some of it at the end of last season, but there's even more that we're going to be bringing. So that'll be part of the excitement back at SHIPIT Nation when that comes around in January. This is kind of like the preview event, and then Tournament of Champions is the first week of January. So we'll go from there. Title, let you take it on, man. Anything else you have to add there? JSN, anybody else you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, not like obviously CD's my favorite. Outside of him, I think it probably would be JSN. And again, it's this mid-tier. I don't want it to do stars and scrubs as much. Lockett's 2,000 more, probably will be more popular. DK is 4,400 more. Like, is it the craziest thing if I told you at the end of the night JSN outscored DK? I don't think so. And that 4,400 can do a lot of different things for your lineup. So just looking at pricing, his snap shares went up. I like JSN a lot there. I mentioned Lockett. I mentioned DK. I'm more on the Seattle side. They're going to be on the field a ton. I will mention maybe my favorite punt at the ownership is Jake Bobo. I don't know if it's just because I actually think he's good and he does get some deep shots and only takes one as a punt. Like, I want a guy that has some upside. So I think like DJ Dallas getting a little more. I don't know. I think he's fine. But again, that's kind of the build I want to avoid. Dallas side's tougher because outside of CD, Cooks, Gallup, Tolbert, Turpin, they're all mixing in a little bit. They have Jake Ferguson, 9-point favorites. So yeah, keep mentioning it. Hoop and I just a little different. I prefer running backs. He prefers pass catchers. Last little tidbit. I'll finish with, because Showdown, we've seen it work. Turpin returns punts for the Cowboys. DJ Dallas returns punts for the Seahawks. I don't even know if DJ Dallas has the explosive enough to break off anything. Turpin most definitely does. A little pairing there. We saw Carolina a couple weeks ago. No one had it. The good old double dip. Showdown's the only thing I'd even slightly consider, but I think a little bump. I already have a little interest on the defenses, but if one of those two house a punt return, probably both in the optimal, and then very few have it.
Yeah, like that call. We always like a little bit of double dipping there, so don't hate it. I kind of like, too, one thing you said, just in my way of hearing it, at least, and then trying to explain to help others, is like the angle you said, because you're not really that high on Dallas. I mean, DJ Dallas, I'm talking about, where you said, like, how do I really want that? So it's not saying you won't have any. You have a portfolio of lineups. I understand. But I'm saying, like, you're like, if I was going down there, it kind of intrigues me more on Bobo. And that's where I said, like, you can get percentages of people, but if you're playing like 3% Bobo and 3% Dallas, like, what's the point? You're almost saying, like, maybe I should just take 8% Bobo, leave Dallas behind. And if I get Bobo right over Dallas, and that was my pick there at that range on the same team, at least I have enough lineups where there actually is one that may make something to the top versus, oh, but I got a sprinkle of this guy, a sprinkle of that guy, and I better, because so-and-so said this, I better play a little bit of him too. It's not worth doing. Like, again, even if it's a giant portfolio, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, just to say, I had some of him, for what? You had 2%. You had nothing. So get your stand and find your angle down there if it's me versus the other, because the guys up top, you're going to want to mix and match them a little bit more. So I really do like that angle of just taking your stand down there. Hoop, anything else to add there? If not, the chat's up and down on this Ferguson guy. Where are you at with Ferguson, the tight ends here, and anybody else you want to mention?
I mean, I play Ferguson like every main slate, so I'm definitely going to be playing him on the Showdown slate. I mean, Ferguson, definitely like him. We talked about him a lot this season, not only on the Showdown shows, but the main slate stuff. I think he is a great play, 6,200. A lot of upside, probably have some of him in the captain. But after that, at tight end, it gets a little messy. Schoonmaker on Dak captain teams, I'm fine with him. $1,800, 2 targets in back-to-back games, had the touchdown 2 weeks ago. I guess the one piece of news that we're kind of waiting on is Will Dissly. He's 1,400, but he's listed as questionable. But he was a full participant on Wednesday.
I'd expect him to play.
Yeah. So I expect him to play as well, which really muddies up that Seattle tight end position. Don't really like Fant. Don't really like Dissly. They have Parkinson they mix in as well. Like, I just don't have much interest in any of those guys. I like Ferguson a lot. Schoonmaker on Dak captain teams. But outside of that, like, I don't know. I mean, they got to do a lot to get there. Like Fant, Dissly, Parkinson, they're barely, I don't know. I just don't like those guys to keep it short and simple. I like Ferguson. I like Schoonmaker.
When's the cutoff today, too, by the way? Because I know that Hendershot has been activated for the 21-day window for a while, and he's been at practice and everything. That's their third tight end that they've used in the past. I will note that, but I think it's like within the hour or something that they would have to activate him back to the active roster, and then we'd be able to know more from there. But
he practiced in full too on Wednesday, it said. So maybe
we actually talked about him last week about thinking he was coming back for whatever it was, the Thanksgiving Day game or something like that, and they didn't end up bringing him back up. I still don't see, as of yesterday's news, that they've activated him. So I think they only have until like 3 Eastern or 4 Eastern day. I can't remember. They have to do it pretty quickly here, I think. So either way, we'll know by game time. But that's just another note to bring up. I think, to my point, and then I'll let Title take over, would just be this: Ferguson still gets all the red zone, end zone, that sort of, like, they look at him in there. I'm not really going to look at the last 2 games and just say no. I do think it's harder to get him at the captain, because that's, what people were asking about before. It's like really tough because it's going to have to be 2 touchdowns probably, or like a touchdown, 6 catches, 80 yards. Like, they need to do a lot. And I just don't know if that's going to happen, but I think better in the flex. Title, do you have different thoughts? Where are you at on Ferguson? And then maybe talk to us more about these Seattle guys. It looks like Dissly still questionable, but otherwise, that's kind of the only good matchup that the fantasy points scored, at least against the Cowboys, has typically been the tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with Ferguson in the captain. He's plus 160 to score, which is the 4th on the slate. Plus 160 actually surprised me. And he's in that $6,200 range. Like, Charbonnet is going to be way more popular, 600 more. And it just comes back to it, like, at this tight end position. Dissly, Fant, Parkinson, Schoonmaker, all fine. They'll all probably be in my portfolio. I'll be mixing and matching them. I don't like any of them. I mean, like all those dudes are cardio machines on the Seattle side. They want to throw it to JSN, to Charbonnet, to Lockett, to Metcalf. Those are the guys I want. All these guys are going to get some ownership. It only could take 3-4 points down here if it's just Lamb, Dak, and all that. So I get it. But we're also talking about like Schoonmaker might be 6% owned. You can have the nut Schoonmaker lineup and think you build your lineup, you put Schoonmaker in there, he'll be low owned, you leave 400, and that team still be duped 200 plus times. Like if you like, that could easily happen today. Everyone's going to be going that general roster construction. So again, I just think playing different captains in the mid-tier, Ferguson fits there. He falls in the box twice. He's athletic. I'll be going there. I like Ferguson for sure. Outside of that, again, you mix in Schoonmaker, whatever. You mix in these Disley, Parkinsons, Fans. They fit. I don't love any of them, though. They're really out there to block and just run around.
Funny enough, you say mix in these Fants. The talk will be on Noah Fant on the other side, but I just got the answer to my question, and it looks like Hendershot will not be brought up because the Cowboys, I think I just saw it from 45 minutes ago now, elevated Princeton Fant, $200 on this slate as a third tight end for them. So they're going to have Ferguson, they're going to have Schoonmaker, and they're going to have Princeton Fant, who I don't know very much about, admittedly, but still, I'll try and pull something up on him. Just
Are they brothers? Maybe they activate him so he can play against his brother. Maybe he's Noah's brother.
Probably gets a special teams rep as the blocker and the field goal.
Mom and dad are going to be at the game. Give the younger brother a shot here. You never know.
Imagine everybody's on JSN because of the Dallas native narrative from years and years ago in high school did this, and it ends up being the battle of the Fants. Can you imagine that? So his cousin, Noah Fant, son of Evans and Beverly Fant.
Oh, so they are related.
But they are related. It's his cousin,
okay.
Noah Fant.
So it's probably just a pity. It's probably just a pity activation. They got family coming in. They're like, all right, let's just get this guy on the field. You like title said.
You think Coach McCarthy has a heart that big to be like, yeah, you know what? I'll be nice.
Just so they can hug on the field during actual game time.
Exchange jerseys after the game with his cousin.
Oh man! All right. Well, this is good stuff. But our guy K Craps, man, he knows. He said Hendershot is a good play if active. But yeah, we solved that one out. So Princeton Fant is who you have to be the guy to pivot to. Maybe a good FanDuel play. FanDuel's impossible to get different on, and maybe just somehow, some way, but I highly doubt he's going to be the guy now. But it's fun to talk about and say we did, just so we can clip it tomorrow if it actually happens. But anything else? Let's talk about kickers and defenses. Hoop, what do you got for the kickers and Ds today? If choosing, we know what's going on with the Dallas side and the D, but talk us through this one.
Kicker position, I actually really like Aubrey quite a bit, and it's going to be probably some of the highest ownership I've had on a kicker in a while. I mean, the prices have been elevated on kickers. It's kind of made it hard to get like way over the field on them, but Aubrey's 4,800. He hasn't missed a field goal all season. Now, they're an aggressive offense too. Dallas will go for it on a lot of occasions, but he hasn't missed, and he's had a lot of big scores. And I always talk about, I like to see like what these guys have done, recently and over the course of the season. A lot of big scores. He has a 18, he's got a 12, an 11, a 13, a couple 9s mixed in there. Hasn't missed a field goal all season long. So I really like Aubrey. Myers, if you're playing the script where Seattle gets their ass kicked, not super thrilled to play him. Dallas defense will clearly be popular. I mean, they're 5,600. The defenses on showdowns have smashed this season. I mean, they continue to get the job done. I'm staying the course though. Like I'll have some. I'm not fading Dallas's defense, but I just can't get over the field. I mean, no matter what no matter what the projected ownership is, Dallas defense is going to be higher owned than that number. I won't get over the field on them. I will have some. Not going to have a ton of Seattle. But my favorite out of all kickers and defenses, though, by far is Aubrey, the Dallas kicker. What about putting him at captain? Can you go with title? Mentioned it earlier. Could we just go all the way up and throw him up there? Yeah, I don't think I'm going that route just because, I just think one of these Dallas guys has the big boy score that you need up there. So no to the captain, but I have done it in the past. So I don't think this is going to be a spot. We haven't done it for a long time. No, it's been a while. It would be a night to do it. I might have to jump on that with title and just say, forget it. Let's fit in these other guys. Like that's another way that you'd be able to get different there quite easily. So it also, to me, again, just talking out loud, maybe this is bad, but it would sound right to say like
naturally you'd think the 5-1 and let's just jam those Cowboys studs, but also you'd be saying that he eats into some of those stud Cowboys. Therefore, you could get some 4-2s with him at the top, and you still need some of the PPR guys. Like, man, I cannot see. This is where there's levels, like my boy Title says, there's levels to it. It's like 4-2 lineups that are unique already are unique with a kicker alone. Even 5-1s are probably more unique with a kicker at the top. But then you go 4-2s with a kicker at captain. Like, that just doesn't seem like a very popular build within a popular build. Dallas 4-2s will be popular. So I think that would make sense because he's eating into some of the lunch of those other guys that are no longer getting touchdowns in that spot. So Title, kick it back over to you. Get that for kickers and defenses. Talk to me about that, man. Anything else you got there?
Yeah, I love it. And I hope they'll be kicking some field goals today. Like, your thought process, for sure, if they stall, the Dallas guys don't fall in the box, like, and then you just run. If you do a 4-2, like CeeDee's the only guy, Pollard's the only guy, can totally see that work. Or you go a Tolbert and then you spend up for Seahawks guys. And the reason I'm coming back to this and why I'll be fine with defenses or kickers and captain is you avoid the Disleys, the fans, the Schoonmakers, the DJ Dallas, like all those bums, because you're spending at captain. And it's FanDuel is completely different. I mean, good luck tonight on FanDuel. Hoop will touch on that getting different over there. But because you pay the 1.5x at the captain spot, playing these guys in the mid-tier will allow you to avoid them. You can still get different. And again, I'm not saying, even if you plug in kicker captain, Aubrey captain, and leave $0 and you think you're slick, it's going to be duped a ton. So I'm not saying that you can just go kicker captain and then you're good for the night and you'll be unique. You still got to think about it, especially that main one, 117,000 people in it. But the main reason I like it is just because those mid-tier, JSN's in there, Ferguson's in there. It just comes back to the roster construction. I don't want the bums. And the way to fit, no bums, go more mid-tier captains. So Cowboys D is my least favorite, like Coop said, though. So they probably, Brand is going to get his, 6 6 or whatever the year?
Oh, yeah.
That's
it's a lock.
probably right.
Absolute lock.
We need a winner for the free month before we get to the sim segment. I am curious, though, because we got 280 watching. Start throwing it in the chat while we pull that winner. Is this game what are we currently at? Let me see. Is this game going over or under 47.5? We already know you love the Cowboys. We don't need to play that game. Over or under the 47.5 here tonight? What's your thoughts on that? Throw it in the chat. Hoop, did you go back and find a monthly winner? We're just trying to give it away to someone there. They were letting some comments go earlier.
Yes. Why don't I talk about FanDuel and
do that.
You or Title find the.
I'll go back and find one. Yeah,
okay.
You talk about FanDuel. I'll go back.
So over on FanDuel, Title kind of touched on it, and then there was some comments in the chat as well. The pricing is atrocious today, and I hate to say it because it's already hard to get different over on FanDuel, and the format sucks with only the 5 players versus the 6, and the 1.5 where you don't have to pay more. Dak Prescott at 17.5, most expensive guy. CeeDee Lamb 16K, Tony Pollard 14.5. That all makes sense. Like those core Dallas guys being the 3 most expensive totally makes sense. But then it just really gets bad after that. Geno Smith at 14K, so like starting quarterback, FanDuel under 15K coming at 14. It's a bad price. Charbonnet getting all the work for Seattle running back at 11.5. It's just way too cheap. DK Metcalf at 12K, so like the premier wide receiver on this team with the touchdown upside, 12K. Lockett 11K, just way too cheap. I mean, you're going to see a lot of these, a lot of duplications. You already do. You're going to see even more because every team you build is going to look like an all-star team. Jake Ferguson at 9K flat, where touchdowns are very important over there. He's a red zone target guy, like way, way too cheap. Kickers and defenses are even cheaper than we typically see. Dallas is at 10K their defense, but then Myers at 85. Where's Aubrey at 95? Where's the Seattle D? Seattle D at 8K. So I guess that's a little bit fine. JSN at 8K. Tolbert at 7K. The one thing I'll say is just leave money on the table on FanDuel, and not just like $500, but like thousands of dollars. It's going to be the only way to really get unique because these prices are so bad. You're going to be able to get 4 studdish type players on every team that you build without sacrificing much. Definitely 3. I mean, definitely 3 of the 5 spots are going to be studs. A lot of those teams will be like 4 stud teams. So it's unfortunate, but that's what we have to deal with. I'd say leave a lot of salary on the table if playing on FanDuel tonight.
I like that. Anything to add there, Title, or anything else you had for FanDuel side? Okay.
No,
Jeff Richardson.
Good luck. Good luck getting different, as Hoop said.
He's so over it. Title just hates it right now. He's like, screw that
So
site.
annoying.
Jeff Richardson said, and we'd love to get a founding family member back. So we totally appreciate this. As I was in at the start as a founding family member, even within the first 30 days, that means life got expensive though and had to cut costs. Still watching all the free shows. Would love to get back in for a month. Jeff, hit us up. info@shipitnation.com. Love to get a founding family member back. Love somebody that understands it. Obviously, the benefits don't stay the same. Our commitment was to anybody who signed up in the first 30 days would be with us forever. As long as they would stay with us, we would hook them up with some extra benefits along the way. Unlike those cell phone companies and nasty television companies that try and scam you. You've been with them for 10 years, and now the best offer is for Johnny Joe, who just moved in next door and is trying it out for the first time. That's not how it should be. So we love that. We also appreciate that you're still watching all the free shows. We always tell people that the site is here. You can join the nation. But look, we already do all these shows for free. There is no secret society shows that you have to come and get involved for. You're in for the community, for getting all the other stuff that we offer, the education courses. But even then again, if you can't get in, watch these shows for free. Try and help you win that way and get better as a DFS player in general. That's what it's all about. And now if you guys didn't see it, I'll shout it out again. But if you're watching on playback, if you're watching live right now, it doesn't matter. Pause it for 2 seconds. You can come back, speed it up, and catch up. Go to shipitnation.com. Simply enter your email address. There's no ask for credit card information, nothing like that. You press sign up. You will get the 45-minute showdown video course. It's a mini course. We broke it down just to that piece only from the education course. So while you can get stuff on the process where we break down the mindset, the goals, the bankroll management, the cash, GPP, single entry, 3max, optimizers, everything there. We did roster construction, Hoop actually breaking down the Millie Maker winner. I did stuff on live finals and the satellites. I mean, this secret of satellites, people are using this in the NBA streets daily in this. And it's an NFL course that we talked about it in, but they're using it in NBA to win. We had so many members in that Mega Millie last night on DraftKings. A bunch of them cashed and had good runs at it just because, and they won those tickets off of as little as $14. But what's coming for free is this. So again, there's no sales pitch here. You just go over to the site, enter your email, sign up. You'll confirm one email. They'll send you the link to the course. You can get that 45-minute setup. But shout out to Jeff. Email us info@shipitnation.com. If you guys want to throw your scores into the chat. Hoop, did you see anything on these over-unders? What are you seeing for people picking here? It looks like a lot of overs, right?
Yeah, it's going to be
actually a lot of unders.
Not the same. What do you got? 44, right? Or 54 there. Got 44, 37. Yeah, looks like
more unders.
Yeah, more unders.
Title. Yeah.
Well, I think people are afraid after the Monday game, I think people don't want, it was like 90.
You're talking satellites. Imagine $14 in a satellite. You win a $2,500 ticket for a chance at a milli. Can't beat that.
Smooth as butter, baby. That's butter. 1989. $14. Got the ticket for $2,500 and then cashed it. And I mean, there was a couple plays. Him and I both. I had Batum get injured. He had a couple plays in there that could have done a lot more for him down the stretch. I mean, right in the mix. Still turning $14 into $4K. Not a bad day. I believe, Hoop, we do still have the NBA show coming up today as well, right?
Yeah, myself and Big Nades. Hoop
nice.
And Big Nades on the NBA show.
Over right 63 points. Throw the score up, Jeffrey. Give me a score here, guys. Let's hop over. I'm going to switch over to Run the Sims. We'll get this segment in, and then we'll get out of here. But let's talk about a score that I can throw in here, and then I'll run through it quickly for everybody. 27-23 Cowboys. Perfect. So for those that don't know, again, program is brought to you and presented by Run the Sims. You can go to runthesims.com, use the promo code SHIPIT, gets you 10% off if you want to mess around with this. But all I'm doing is I'm going to DFS, NFL, and the Sim Runner. You land here. I'm picking the slate tonight is the Seattle-Dallas Showdown Captain Mode. Up at the top, I picked the slate. We're going to do our inputs. The settings are 10,000 simulations, and then we'll get to our optimal results. So they're going over with 50 points, and they're going 27-23 Cowboys. You can mess around with it more and change pretty much anything you want if you think you have a better beat on how this game looks. If you think Dallas is going to be more involved, DJ Dallas, that is. If you think Dowdle is going to be more involved on this touchdown market share because when they get to the red zone, he's going to be more involved. You can change it up and get a better look at how this thing simulates out. But let's run this thing up on this one, and then we'll do one more score after this before we get out of here. Let's see what these optimal results look like for the first run. 27-23 for the Cowboys.
I'm very curious to see what these punts, how they grade out in the Sims.
Yeah, you might end up being the nuts on that one. Just the stone call of the night of it's just better to get away from it because none of them really matter. That could definitely be a thing in this game. And the way to do it would be with the mid-tier captains. Run through it quickly, and then Title, I'll ask you just to look at it and see what you see. But just so people know, it's very easy stuff out of the gate. It's the player, their position, their team, their salary. It's what Run the Sims estimates them to be owned. So it's their projected ownership in the flex, their projected ownership in the captain for total ownership, in this case of 78 on Dak, is what Run the Sims sees. What the Sims say based on the score we just simulated is that Dak shows up in the flex around 58% of the time, a little bit less than what he's actually being owned. So a little bit less there. He shows up in the captain much less, almost 4% less than what they have him projected in the captain. So that's why you see negative leverage at the captain, negative leverage overall. Title, with that said, you can explain some more of it. What are some of the things that stand out to you here?
First thing I looked at, kickers and defenses. Seahawks, they like. Dallas, they don't on both sides. And a lot of that's ownership. I mean, 35% for Aubrey, 18% for Myers. Then you look at the Seahawks there. So I know I'll be playing at least one in a lot of teams. I prefer Seahawks. The ownership discount makes sense in a very close game as well. Another thing that stands out, scroll down a little bit. I want to see all these. I know Fant's a little positive. Like the thing with all these guys down here, the Tolberts, the Gallups, DJ Dallas, like the Dowdles, Turpin, they're all grading out fine, but they're all just like slightly positive or slightly negative. And that's kind of why I keep going back to my original point. If you're playing 150 teams, of course, rotating all of these guys in, hope you get the right one, fine. If you're only playing 5 teams, 10 teams, only a couple, which I assume most people watching are, like, good luck guessing. Is it Schoonmaker, Disley, Dallas? Like, I'd rather not guess, and I'd rather just completely shift the build I'm on. So let's go a little bit captain leverage, scroll up a little bit. Who does it absolutely love at captain leverage in this? Gino. Yeah, the Seahawks side. Obviously, they cover in this game, kind of high scoring. So it makes sense they'd like that. So, yeah, initial thought, I like Pollard, Charbonnet, even at high ownership, pretty solid. Nothing too surprising. You guys pick maybe a little lower scoring and see how that changes.
I'll let Hoop pick one and make a comment. I love our guy Scary. He's in the Discord as well. Double no ways as well. This was the Denver Buffalo slate I was talking about. There was so many no ways in the chat that night. And then Denver goes on to win the game. But not saying it'll be the same. It's one sample. It's just funny. You see these things as the season goes on. And that's kind of exactly it. Like there's no way this, there's no way that. And then it ends up happening and people can't believe it. But Hoop, what do you got? One more score. We'll go back and throw it in and then we'll get out of here.
Let's see. So let's do like 20, do Seattle, maybe flip it. How about that? Flip it and see what happens. Or maybe do something under.
Do you think if Seattle wins, let me ask you this.
I was trying to find a Seattle win game, and I'm not seeing anything decent.
But don't you think if Seattle wins, it's probably lower, like a 23-20 or something?
I'd assume, I definitely assume. Do like a 24 to 17 or something in favor of Seattle.
Let's do 24-20 because it's
right.
44. It's closer to the total.
Yeah.
We'll do that. But it's the way Seattle would have to win. Something goes their way at the end. Let's see how that shakes out and go from there. So 24-20 is what we ran. I know it's not on the screen, but we did 24-20 in favor of Seattle on the road in Dallas. Let's see how that one looks.
It's going to love Gino.
Yeah.
It's gonna like the Seattle defense kicker, hate the other side.
Funny on the last one, though, Myers was still loved way more than Aubrey. So it's like that isn't, but there was love for both of them. So I could see some double kicker builds tonight is what that makes me think right away. Just looking at that. You said it, like Gino skyrockets up.
Lockett. I mean, that price tag, the Metcalf over a lot because the ownership.
At 7-2, you'd think Lockett would be a guy that would definitely be.
Love Charbonnet right in that same range. It looks like more.
Yeah.
He's getting
Ferguson gets involved here on the what is this on the flex rate 20? No, he gets crushed on the. He just still shows up at the captain though, the same amount. So he's good on captain, less overall. I see that. Pollard kind of right there in the middle. This one is like an example for those watching for the first time though, like the Pollard one or the Lamb one. It's like people see this and go, oh, negative leverage, no good. No. They're saying he's still showing up. Like Lamb is still showing up in almost 60% of the simulations on that. So 6,000 of the lineups, give or take, you're still seeing Lamb out of 10,000. He's definitely still very involved. It's just saying you're not getting any crazy leverage versus it's saying Dak is definitely a much worse captain play when the score flips to Seattle winning, which no shit obviously makes sense, but still nice to see that and be able to break it out. And then it flips over to the Geno side. So our guy Smarty, I know he's been in here the whole time talking about Geno at captain. You're looking for this score, my man. Mr. Marty, you're looking for this score tonight just to get it there. Title, any final thoughts from you before we get out of here?
No, I like it a little more than I initially did. I think my pass clear, made it pretty known. I hope these bums down there don't fall in the end zone. Pretty concentrated. Someone in the mid-tier falls at captain. Probably a good day over here. But hey, if it's not, NBA has a great slate. NHL has a great slate. NBA Showdown crushed yesterday too. So always money to be made.
This will be like the exact same, Vinny. It's basically the same score, 4-point separation, little more under, but it's not going to make a difference there. Hoop, final thoughts from you, man? Anything else you want to talk about, comment on, go through before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight. Number four is getting us our 4th huge win of the season over here at SHIPIT Nation. He's gotten us 3 so far. It's going to be number 4 tonight, boys.
Running some Dak captains tonight. Gonna have to just for Hoop. Maybe we get our man Princeton Fant in there to separate over on FanDuel. leave thousands of dollars. Put Dak.
If you play Pete Fant, you have to play the other Fant. I mean, that's the only reason he's playing tonight because his cousin's on the field. So you got to pair him up.
Yeah, the narratives, man. We have to do it. So if you guys want to check it out, you can go over. I pulled it up on the screen. We have a weekly option. If you just want to get in tonight and check it out, you won't get in to the Discord with the weekly option, but the monthly you can take down to $62. It works out to like $14 a week. It's very cheap. Use the promo code MAYO. It gets you 10% off your first payment. Thank you guys all for watching. Hit that like on the way out. We appreciate you. For Title, for Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.